Aj Mansour back with KFAN on the Westwood One Radio Row at the Final Four in New Orleans. Westwood One's NCAA Final Four Radio Row is sponsored by Cintas. Your Cintas dedicated service reps provide the products and services to help you run your business smoothly. Visit cintas.com and get ready for the workday. We are joined now on Radio Row by the head coach of Mississippi State, Chris Jans. Chris, thanks for taking the time. I know this is a busy weekend. There's a lot going on. You're in here for the conference. You're in here for the tournament. But you find some time to sit on Radio Row and talk basketball with us up in Minneapolis. Thank you.
Hey, listen, this is better for me. I got a face for radio, so we're in good shape.
Don't we all?
When they ask me to go on TV, I'm always hesitant, but appreciate you having me. And like you said, it's been fast and furious, and it's always fun to be at the Final Four. And, you know, obviously it's more fun when you're a participant.
Right.
I was watching the Kansas players walk by last night, kind of taking in the sights and sounds of New Orleans, and it brought me back to 2013 when I had the opportunity to be a part of the Wichita State staff and experience the Final Four as a participant. And it's completely different, and it's a lot more fun to be on that end of the spectrum.
Right. So tell me real quick about that. What are those players and coaches going through right now? I mean, it has been a whirlwind. Now it's Friday. They're probably locked down a little bit, focusing on the game. But this week, leading up to today, leading up to the games, what is that like?
You know, there's always immediate responsibilities. There's always things that you have to take care of outside of basketball, and obviously it's times 10. You know, it's to the nth degree of your responsibilities as players and coaches. I don't care what your role is. It's just more people that want to talk about it. It's obviously the greatest show on earth, and that's part of the equation. And you just got to be business when it's time to be business. You got to focus when it's time to focus, and it's just different. You know, when you haven't experienced it as a player and a coach, you just think the Final Four is fun and hanging out and eating great food and hooking up with your old buddies and your old coaches and your family. And when you become part of the event as a player or a coach, you don't even think about that. You don't even know what's going on outside of your preparation and what you normally do for, each college basketball game.
Yeah, preparation for you in your new job. You mentioned being a whirlwind. It was 11 or 12 days ago that you got hired at a new position. Talk to me a little bit about what those 12 days have been like as you build a staff, look at recruiting, pay attention to a transfer portal that now exists, and it might be a big plan, a part of what your plan is going to be. Have you had time to sleep? Have you been eating? What has the focus been for 12 days?
Oh, I've eaten plenty. I don't miss meals. I love to eat. People told me that had worked in Mississippi State and lived in Starkville, like, be careful. You're going to eat a lot of fried food and Southern food, and it's really good. And I've already put on 4 or 5 pounds.
There you go.
And, I've been away from my wife for the most part. She's been down for a couple of days. She just landed, so we're meeting down here and then driving back together, trying to find a place to live. But she'll keep me back on the diet, which I need. But at the end of the day, you do what you got to do, and for me, it's all about trying to get the right people in the room. Starts with the players and the staff, all the way from the assistant coaches, full-time guys, recruiters, ops, GAs, because that's what's most important. Who are you locking arms with? When you walk out of that locker room every single time to compete, you better have the right people in the room, and so there's a lot to do, but we're focused on that for the most part.
I would assume that this is not a new thing, but it seems like there's more of an emphasis placed now publicly on the culture of programs and the culture of teams. Tell me about taking a culture from New Mexico State, bringing it to a new environment. You listen in your new environment and you learn, but you're also bringing things that you've learned and implemented at your old stops. There's challenges to that and there's good to that. Tell me about that process.
Well, fortunately, I've been in this game for 30 years. Next season will be my 31st season, and I've coached pretty much at every level, NAI, Division III, junior college, Division I, Division II, junior college, and, a lot of different Division I programs in some role or capacity. So, you pick things up along the way, and, culture is an overused word. It's a cliche word, but it is. It is what it is, and you better have it. And you just got to start over. You got to start from scratch. Start from the first time you meet the players and talk about the standard of expectation you're going to have, and then certainly when you get on the floor or you're dealing with them with academics or just how you represent the university in our program, and it's just a way of life. And we're in the midst of it right now. We're in the midst of it right now, trying to get on the same page with everybody at Mississippi State, and we certainly got a long way to go. Fortunately, we got plenty of time before we have to suit up and put on the uniform in November, but there's a lot of work to do, and we're proud of our culture at New Mexico State. I think people that watch us play, we're not a slogan team. When you walk in our locker room, there's not a first to the floor or floor burn you, and that's our players rallied around us. Like, I want people to know what we stand for, about how we play, and we're certainly not going to be motivated by a slogan or something across our seat of our practice jersey, and hopefully that'll be the same at Mississippi State.
We mentioned the transfer portal earlier. Interesting position for you, developing a new team and bringing in new players there. But talk to me about the nuance with the transfer portal, as we all still learn this, right? We're trying to figure out how to handle this. As a coach, how do you balance the opportunity to bring in experienced players that have on-the-court skill, off-the-court leadership, those things, but at the same time understand that you're planning for the future still, and you need to look at high school kids, and you need to kind of try and recruit that side of it as well. There's some nuance there, and it has to be interesting as a coach.
Yeah, balance is the word you used, and it's a delicate balance. I think most of us are probably leaning towards building a team rather than building a program, but you still have to have that culture like we talked about before. So bringing in big classes with my junior college background is not foreign to me. I'm not outside my comfort zone, having to recruit like that. But I think it's going to change year to year. In a perfect world, you have a bunch of guys coming back that you've coached, that get it, that know your terminology, that understand the system, that get the daily grind of how you're trying to run your program. But at the same time, some years you're going to have bring in big classes, and that's just the way it is. That's the landscape of college basketball. And like I said, with my background, being a JUCO guy, and even being at New Mexico State, where we had bigger classes more than small classes, it's not foreign to me, and I think we're going to be able to hit the ground running.
Chris Jans, head coach of Mississippi State. You have ties to Iowa. You grew up there. You went to school there. This is a little self-serving for us in Minneapolis, but we like to say that the Minneapolis basketball scene is arrived. Not necessarily top of the country, but you have to notice it. You have to pay attention. With the onslaught of AAU, with the internet being able to showcase players that you may not get to go see all the time, has that kind of leveled I don't want to say leveled, but has it opened up the recruitment process to anywhere and everywhere? Because now players that maybe you wouldn't go see in a small town in northern Minnesota, they splash on your email because there's a highlight or there's social media. Has that opened up the opportunities for teams, New Mexico State, Mississippi State, wherever you are, to see the entire country?
That's a great point. The world has become smaller, right?
Yeah.
Not just the United States or the state of Minnesota or Minneapolis. The world. I mean, you just look across the country and there's players from everywhere, and because of the internet, because of social media, there's not as many secrets anymore. And I grew up 4 hours south of Minneapolis and have coached players from that state. I had one of the better ones, Zach Lofton, from that area, and he was one of the better players I've ever coached. And as a matter of fact, we have a trip to University of Minnesota next year. We have a return game at the U that we'll be playing against Coach Johnson and his guys. And I've known Ben a long, long time from back in the Valley when he was at UNI and I was at Wichita State. And, obviously we got the bad end of it, or I did, because they've already played them here. So I have to have the return trip, which I'm not looking forward to already. But it'll be kind of cool to be able to play a game 4 hours from home, and hopefully Ben and his staff will work with me, because I'll have a lot of requests from Fairbank, Iowa, getting up there to Minnesota to watch us play.
Well, Coach Jans, thank you for the time. Enjoy the weekend. Best of luck at Mississippi State, and I appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yep. KFAN at the NCAA Final Four, back in a matter of minutes after this commercial break.